Hey, this is Dana from the Dana and Travis Show. We'd like to thank all of our loyal fans. And if you have any suggestions or ideas for future show topics, you can email us at danaandtravisshow@gmail.com, or you can contact us on Facebook or Twitter. Hope you enjoy the show.
You're listening to a Collapsar Digital Studios production. Live from Bloomington, Indiana, you're listening to the Dana and Travis Show.
Greetings and well wishes. I'm Dana,
And I'm Travis.
broadcasting to you live from Collapsar Digital Studios in Bloomington, Indiana, bringing forth the knowledge of the universe in 60 minutes.
We hope you enjoy the show.
All right, welcome to the Dana and Travis Show, episode 15. Travis, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. Once again, another podcast, another week.
I know it's I just look forward to this, twice a month, and here we are tonight doing our 15th one. It doesn't seem real.
No, it doesn't. It's Veterans Day.
It was Veterans Day this week, which was kind of bad for us at work because we ended up having kind of a long weekend, and then a lot of us come to work on Monday, and then we're off Tuesday, and then back Wednesday. So
It must be nice, not working,
working, not working, working, not working. Who knows?
While I'm over here slaving away at my job, and you're at home, just taking it easy, living a good life.
Yeah, but they always spoil us in the fall because you've got Columbus Day, you got Veterans Day, and you got Christmas and Thanksgiving, then you got New Year's, then nothing.
Then the snow. And then all the days you take off because you can't get to work.
Yeah, so it's always it seems like the work weeks in the fall are always just kind of screwy. But
Yeah, but it's not screwy.
what's that?
Checking out our Facebook page.
That is correct.
And checking us out on Twitter. And send us suggestions to danaandtravisshow@gmail.com. All right, everyone. Yeah, so this is episode 15. A couple episodes ago, I asked all of you to send us your email addresses. Several of you did, but a lot of you have not. And so we kind of talked about just a little bit. I think we're going to change our strategy and what we're going to do. I think we're going to hold off on the emails for now. But the good news is I think we are more looking into actually getting us on iTunes.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. Everybody generally has access to iTunes, so I think it would be a good venue for us to get our show out there to everybody.
Yeah, because I think the big problem of why most of you aren't really listening to our show, for the few of you who do listen, I guess the other people won't know.
Our really dedicated listeners,
Yeah.
do get on YouTube or get on Facebook and click the link and listen to it.
But I do know that I have been told by a couple of people who have listened to this that it is kind of inconvenient for everyone to listen to this on YouTube.
So we'll work on that in the future, and maybe we can get it switched up and get our show on iTunes. So we'll keep you up to date on how that's going.
Yeah. So as of right now, you don't have to send us your email addresses, and I also talked about a newsletter. The problem with a newsletter for us is that me and Dana, Dad, whatever you want to call him, we're two busy people.
Yeah,
And
sometimes it's one thing getting together every couple of weeks, but I know
making this a full-time deal.
Yeah, Travis does he's got a lot of irons in the fire, and I'm kind of sporadic. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But the newsletter we're going to kind of put on hold for now.
Maybe if this thing blows up.
Yeah, if this thing blows up and we have millions of dedicated people listening, get our own little following. be great? I'd like to have some, doggone it, groupie. I want a groupie.
Okay. I guess you get to have the groupie.
I'll take the groupies.
I was like, because this married guy over here, there's no room for groupies in my life.
All the more for me. So there.
Yeah, and yeah. Yeah, there's no comment to be made about this subject.
Okay, so anyways, we'll keep you up to date on all that stuff.
I'm not a rock star like Dad.
Yeah. In my own mind, maybe. But let's talk about our topic for the night.
Yeah, it's Veterans Day, so we thought we'd talk a little bit about the history of Veterans Day, along with I was in ROTC and I have some stories that maybe I can tell, and but before we get right into the main topic, we would like to dedicate this episode to a cousin of ours.
Yes, actually, my cousin, JC, or James Curtis Gentry, from the Mitchell area. We sadly lost him to cancer a few years ago. That was a direct result from the Iraq War. He was ranked at full colonel, and this is dedicated to JC.
Yes, in his loving memory.
Yes.
So, all right. So that being said, well, we're going to get right into the topic of the night. And now, the Dana and Trevor Show presents the main topic of the night.
All right, veteran topics. We've got a few for you here that we're going to talk about tonight.
All right, so we're gonna get right into the history of Veterans Day. So, I guess we're gonna start out by saying Veterans Day wasn't always Veterans Day. It was originally Armistice Day.
Yes, it was originally commemorating the end of World War I, which ended on the 11th day of the 11th month at the 11th hour in 1918.
Yes, which signified the end of the World War I, the Great War.
The war to end all wars.
Yes, and
See how that worked out.
see, everyone, I told him
I've got it on mute.
to silence his electronics, his iPad.
I don't understand
His
this.
iPad. No, you go into
Don't iPad. Don't click on apps and all that.
no, man. You go in there and you get that. You go to the notifications area, and then you put don't get notifications, and you can just turn that on and off, and then you don't get the annoying.
All the time I just mute it, but evidently the muting doesn't work.
This is great podcasting, everyone. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Well, listen, I'm not going to mess with that now, so we're just going to have to deal with all my little
all right
sounds.
All right.
Anyway.
So continuing on, it was the signing of the peace treaty of Versailles in France.
And you know what I think is, and we talked about this earlier, that is so cool about the peace treaty of Versailles.
Yes, go on.
Of course, the Germans surrendered to the French, and or actually they didn't really surrender, but well, I guess they kind of did. They formed a truce, but we pretty much I guess we were involved in the war at that time,
Mm-hmm.
but we had Germany on the ropes, and they were very humbled to come in there and say, okay, we're done fighting. So there was a train car that they brought in at Versailles, the Palace of Versailles, and both sides come in and sign the peace treaty between Germany and Britain and France and everybody involved. Well, of course,
It hit home pretty hard.
It did, and at that time, of course, diplomacy wasn't really quite what it is today, and at the time, there was still a lot of animosity, especially between the French and the Germans.
Well, you also have to remember the reason why they were in that war to begin with. I mean, Germany pretty much said, "We're just going to take over Europe." I mean, they were. You don't just go out and make that kind of proclamation. You don't go out and just start sacking towns of different countries in Europe and expect.
So whenever they lost, post World War One, there wasn't really a lot of generosity, or they didn't make things easy for Germany. In fact, they they ended up tearing up all the railways and all the infrastructure, and they were the Allies were kind of mean to Germany, and there wasn't any fostering of any. Okay, let's put this behind us and let's live in this happy world.
No, we the Allies were very. You know what, Germany? This is what you get for doing this to us.
They punished Germany more or less.
It's like this will show you to come up against us ever again.
But all that did was just create a huge animosity, which where I'm going with this. Whenever France then surrendered to Germany, about 30 years later, Hitler thought it would be very touching to get the same rail car in the same spot and then have the French bow down to him.
Yeah, which is a very fascinating story because it's like Hitler's like what comes in
your
you
face,
thought
France.
it's like you thought that this was over when you humiliated us after the war.
Yeah, and that is why after World War II, I think there was a very conscious effort. The war is over. We're Germany, of course. We pretty much rebuilt Germany and Japan as well. After we nuked them, we rebuilt them.
Well, yeah, because like you said,
and we've had very friendly relations ever since.
Yeah, because we learned what pretty much our involvement with Germany after World War One was the direct result of World War Two.
Yeah, I think that we've seen the error of our ways, and after World War II, we knew, or we've seen in retrospect that we need to foster a lot of good fortune and try to become friends with our ex-enemies.
Yes, because let's compare. Okay, so let's compare the Germans and the Japanese. Okay, so after World War One, they're humiliated. We continue to humiliate them after the war, and then, like you said, all the animosity build up, and World War II happened.
They hated us, and like I said, especially the Germans, the French, and the Brits as well. But the Germans and the French hated each other.
Yes. Now let's look at Japan. Japan, we just decimated them. At the end, yeah. We dropped 2 nukes on them, pretty much.
Yeah.
And afterwards, we told them like, "Hey, we'll help you."
Well, and they were broken at that time. They were pretty much a broken country. They were going to lose regardless of whether we dropped the bomb on them or not. We just sped that little process along.
Yeah. But look what happened once we learned our ways. It's like, what, we need to treat them good. We need to get them back on our feet. Now look at them today. They are one of the most successful countries in the world,
and they're really a pretty close ally of ours.
Yes, besides all the whale stuff.
Yeah, and the nuclear reactor that's still spewing radiation into the Pacific. Other than that, they're great people.
Yes, and Godzilla will bless them. Just based no racial slurs there. I'm just saying.
Godzilla.
I'm just saying. After I watched the new Godzilla.
How was that?
It's really good.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
I got Godzilla. It was amazing. Yeah, Mothra.
Awesome.
They made Mothra creepy.
Oh, Mothra's in this one?
There's more than one Mothra.
Really?
Yeah, you have the mother Mothra, then you have her baby.
Which is cute little baby Mothra.
The baby can fly. The big mother Mothra can't. Okay, get back on topic. So
anyway, so the Treaty of Versailles, and Armistice Day, Woodrow Wilson was the president, and it wasn't made
an official holiday,
a federal holiday, until the Eisenhower years. And then they kind of renamed it from Armistice Day to Veterans Day.
Yeah, because at that point, everyone was celebrating it.
Yeah, because it was after World War II, and there were a lot of veterans in the country. Of course, even at this time, there was still possibly some. Well, see, I was going to go with Civil War, 1860. So, if somebody was 20 years old in well, of course, from between World War I and World War II, there were still a lot of Civil War veterans running around.
Yeah. It's like how today we still have a lot of World War. Well,
no.
we have a few left, a few World War II veterans left.
Yeah, they're getting fewer and fewer. I know. I think a few years ago, I think he was the last World War I veteran in the state passed away. which was from here in Greene County. I think, if not the last in the state of Indiana, definitely the last in Greene County, which was um, Mr. Ackerman, George's grandfather.
Oh, okay. Also, too, earlier we had dedication to this episode for our cousin JC, but also too recently, longtime veteran of our area, Red Elephant, passed away.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Marcus Red Oliphant. He was a jet fighter pilot, a colonel.
Mm-hmm.
He was an interesting gentleman.
Yes, that guy, no, that gentleman, he was always so supportive of everyone. When you see him, he's talking to everybody. He's just that person.
Oh, never met a stranger. I mean, he would come up and talk to you.
No matter what.
Yeah.
He was a nice guy, and it was really sad to see him pass away. But like I say, he was a World War II veteran, and much respects to him.
A Korean War veteran too, I believe.
Yeah, probably, yeah. But yeah, much respects to him, and I said the few interactions I've had with him with me and RTC, he did a lot, and he really cared about everyone. So, and he was a true patriot, for sure. But yeah, that's just a little bit of the history. Do you happen to know anything else special about the origins of Veterans Day?
No, that's really about it. Like I said, it wasn't until Dwight Eisenhower, who was a veteran himself, and the supreme commander of the Allied forces in Europe during World War II, he was president, and he was the one that actually made it a federal holiday. So.
I still believe. I think every president should be a veteran.
Yeah, I do. I really do too. Of course, both the Bushes, Bush 41, the father, he was a World War II vet, fighter pilot. Bush 43, W, he was in the Guard, and also was a pilot. Before that, I know Jimmy Carter was in the Navy.
Okay.
So he was Nixon. I'm not sure if Nixon served or not.
Was Reagan?
Reagan was not.
Was
I
not?
think.
Okay.
And of course, you have John F. Kennedy. Kennedy was a veteran.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think that being in the military, it does a lot for you.
Well, it does, and I think to be commander in chief, it gives you a lot of insight. If you don't have that military operations type experience, I think it makes it harder.
Well, I think too, being a veteran is all about you serving your country, and by you serving your country, you are surrendering yourself to something more than just you. You are taking orders. You are fulfilling orders. No matter what task you're given, you are fulfilling them. It's like no, you're not going to halfway do it. You're going to do it because that's your job. Without you doing your job, you can't protect this country.
And actually, just real quick, Richard Nixon was a World War II veteran.
Okay.
He served in the Navy.
Okay.
In World War II. So, yeah, I wasn't quite sure on him, but anyway,
right.
No, I think the commander in chief should be a veteran.
Well, yeah, because like I said, how can you know what it feels like to be someone who's under control when you haven't been able to, whenever you haven't surrendered yourself unto someone else's command,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it just does a lot for your character. It does a lot. I mean, it humbles you. It makes you respect people. It makes you respect your elders. People who are clearly more experienced than you. They give you direction. They give you guidance. They give you honor. It's just that's what's about being in the military. And it's about protecting and serving your country.
Definitely.
And I think it's one of the serving in the military is one of the highest honors you can have in I think to this country. You don't have to take a bullet to be a hero in this country. I mean, you don't.
And of course, and one thing I know for me, of course, working down at Crane, a lot of my fellow co-workers are Iraq War, but actually Iraq 91 and the last war. They're uh, veterans of that as well as Afghanistan. So I work around a lot of veterans, and they are just really great people, and a lot of them are my friends. So
Yeah. Yeah. I just it's just always so good to see people serve, and like I said, I know I went to school with a bunch of people who are in the military now, and they they seem to be doing good for themselves. So, but yeah, so I guess just to talk, I mean, I guess I got my respect from being in RTC. Yeah, I just don't feel like very many people, you know, people that I went to school with, and just people, I'd say around in my age in general. I don't think a lot of them fully understand the importance of our military, and just to respect them. The more and more every day I see more people disrespecting the military. It's just like, why? Just said
yeah.
just recently,
Well, it's
there was an article in Salon magazine, pretty much calling people in the military murderers, and this guy was from Indiana. It's just like, with the guy who wrote this article, it's like how dare you?
Yeah, there's almost kind of a post-Vietnam War sentiment in the country now that
It never went away.
yeah, well, it briefly did, but yeah, it's reared its ugly head again, and it's I just think, of course, I think a lot of people confuse, which most nobody likes war. War is not good, but it's like don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's
The people that are that are not forced, but obviously, we have a country and we have to defend this country, and we have to have people to defend it.
well, and I also think that right now we're going through a transition period where we are fighting an enemy that has never been fought before.
That is true, and I'm going to kind of take this to where I think you're going. I recently had a birthday, almost. It's not quite 50 yet, but I'm pushing it. But Travis here gave me the Dinesh D'Souza movie, America, where would we be without her?
How'd you like that?
I liked it very well.
Really?
And there was one thing that the part of the movie where they had a speech that Abraham Lincoln had given, and he pretty much said, that we will never fight a war over here, and we don't have to worry about this place, being invaded. If we are destroyed, it will come from within.
And I think that is, yeah. I mean,
That's what Lincoln said.
well, it almost happened once.
Yeah, the Civil War. That's I think he's seen that coming. I think, but at the time he didn't realize that how prophetic it would be. Again, we are a pretty divided country, and it's people. There's not a lot of common ground as there was
Yeah, a long time
in
ago.
past years. So,
But yeah, no, yeah. I think that kind of like you were saying, kind of the direction I was going with this. It's just like I said, I got my respect. I got that from actually being involved with military. I think when it comes to anything, there's a lot of people who claim to know a lot about everything. Like, if you're not a mechanic, you really don't have any thoughts about what you think is mechanics.
Yeah.
Or engineering. You can sit there and say, "Oh, that looks easy," but until you actually start doing it, you don't know. And all you have to do, you can look at as many books and stuff as you want, but you'll never know. But that's kind of the way the military is. I just don't think a lot of people truly understand the military if you're not around it.
Yeah, and I'll agree with you to a point, but I know just with myself, I am kind of a self-professed student of history.
And I am too.
Yeah.
I feel like I am.
And I do read books, and I've learned a lot out of books. So I'm not an expert by no means, but I think I'm probably more knowledgeable than the average person on history and politics and
But you
like
also
that.
but you also have age, and you have wisdom through experiences.
Oh yeah, no, I've and I've taken different stances over the years. My views on some things have changed.
Yeah.
Just from what I've seen. But you know what just burns me the most? Is
Okay.
celebrities who think they use their status and pretend they know anything about the world or politics. Where are the Dixie Chicks now?
Well, they're not around.
Rest my case.
They're not around. Yeah, because I was saying, was it? It was. I think I mentioned this on an episode once, but it's like, I was something about the Dixie Chicks. I said, yeah. Now that Obama has gotten us back into the war, I wonder if they'll have a reunion tour.
Oh, yeah.
It's like because that's pretty much what they did.
And I don't want to paint everything with a broad brush. Bono. I think he's a pretty educated guy, and I think he's probably more intelligent on those matters than most. Than, let's say, Jay-Z.
Well, when you start trying to compare the world by the way you live, I mean, just look at Beyonce and Jay-Z. I mean, how can they have possibly any? Of course, they have their success as music artists, but when it comes to everything else, they just think everything can be solved by influencing the population.
Yeah, and even with that, okay, and I know they were both come from humble beginnings, and that's fine and dandy, but then they were rocketed into mega money and stardom. That, just like you said before, just even with myself, I've learned a lot through the years, just as a normal person in the United States. I'm almost 50 years old, so I've been out there, in my adult life for almost 25 years, and I've learned things. Beyonce and Jay-Z have not had those 25 years. They've just they knew how they grew up. Yeah, they grew up poor, but then they don't have any kind of way to reflect, because they didn't stay poor. They became rock stars.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, one day they got to slow down. It's like, nope. Are they going to be the most miserable people in the world? I mean, are they going to?
Are they going to end up like Robin Williams?
Yeah, I don't want to. I didn't want to be that grim about it, but yeah, I mean, will they end up like Robin Williams when all their stardom and fame is gone? Is that all they ever knew, and they relied on the world to give them happiness when they couldn't find it for themselves?
Yeah, but like I said, main thing, I just hate to see celebrities or people like that pretend they're experts on something they're obviously not.
Yeah. Well, but to go back to me for a second.
I'm sorry. It's all about you.
It's all about me. But no, like for you have your experiences and you have what made you. What for me now? From my age, I feel like I'm more educated, and here's why. Because I had experience in our NJRTC. I actually got to do some things that not very many people my age got to do. I mean, I got to see some pretty cool things. Me and everyone else that was in my company, you could say. But like I had to dress up in uniform. I had once a week.
Yeah, I mean, you were definitely introduced and lived the military. You get a taste of what it's like to be in the military.
Yeah, I had to be clean shaven every day. I had to have the right haircut. I had to make sure my pants looked good. I had to make sure my shirt looked good. Make sure all my insignias and stuff were at the right degree and right angle. Where everything was measured correctly. It's just we had to get down to the minor details. Everything is important because in the military there is no room for mistakes. There's no room for nothing to be perfect. You have to be perfect. You have to get the job done. You have to make sure everything. When someone tells you you're going to do something, you got to do it. You got to tell them, yes, I will do it. And that's the way it is. You got to make sure that your appearance is like that. You got to make sure your mind is like that. There's no room for error. There's no room for anything wrong or anything that will prevent you from getting a job done. And so you have to look like it. And that's the way it was. I always love telling this story because I believe, I mean, if this is, I'm just telling you from what I experienced, my senior year, right before it was right after the whole Sarah Jones incident.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally the week after they had uh, we had our annual trip that we go on, and we were going down to Corpus Christi, Texas. Very nice place. I recommend anyone to go down to Corpus Christi.
Yes,
and
it's a nice area.
yeah, it's you can go down there and you can go see the USS Lexington, which is a decommissioned U.S. aircraft carrier. It is now notoriously known for being haunted. And yeah, a little throwback to the last episode. But yeah, it's just, if you never ever get to see an aircraft carrier or be inside one, you should go.
Oh, they're huge.
Yeah.
You have no idea how big they are.
And I also got to go on the USS John F. Kennedy right before they decommissioned it.
Cool.
But anyway, the way we were going to fly down to Corpus Christi, Texas, was in style. And what I mean by style was our lieutenant had some connections, you could say. But apparently they had commissioned a brand new version of Air Force One, and I guess for some reason, I guess the past one was I guess it was time for it to go have a new plane, or I don't know if it's the miles on it were finally like, okay, we can't fly this anymore. Don't know, but I mean, and if this
they were just upgrading Air Force One.
Yeah, if this was not the real Air Force One, then this is the nicest plane. it's on the same par. I mean, you got on there, and everything is leather couches. I mean, they had the whole room you see in the movies.
Yeah, oak trim. And
you have the area where you have like the little living area, and then every seat was like a leather recliner.
Wow.
I mean, it was the nicest thing I've ever. I mean, you could just get around and roam around,
Yeah, it probably didn't really feel like an aircraft. It was...
No, it felt like an RV in the air. Like, it was, well, not an RV, just like a very luxurious like limo in the sky. I mean, that's what it felt like, and yeah, it was. It's something that no one else my age at the time could do. I mean, who could say that they went on that? I mean, no one else besides the people who I went to school. I mean, besides I was in ROTC with. I mean, just stuff like that.
No, that's cool.
But we had to follow all the same military protocols. Like when we got on board of the ship, we had to ask permission from the officer of the deck to board the ship. So, or I think it was the officer of the deck. It was either the officer of the deck or the officer of the day. It might have been the officer of the day, but yeah, we had to salute them, ask them permission to board the ship, and they would salute back. They would say permission granted. Then you go on up, and then it's just like learning how to do things like that. When an officer walks into a room, I remember one time we got on a plane. It was another plane ride back from a trip. And we had a 3-star general. I was aboard of our plane as well. And I remember whenever the general got on board, we all stood up and we all stood at attention, and we all saluted, and then we were steadfast, and then yeah,
cool.
And then we stuff like that. I mean, who else that wasn't involved in something like that knows to do that? I mean, not for many people. I mean, some people would just be clueless. Just stuff like that. I mean, and the people in the military, they have to deal with that every day. And it's just like, it causes you to be precise. And
well, that it just gives you a lot of structure and discipline, and
yeah, it's organization. I guess that's the key to life, you could say. It's like, who tends to live a better life? People who are scattered and don't know what they're doing, or people who are organized and have a path that they're going on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the military teaches you. Being organized.
One other thing, I was just kind of looking around. I was kind of looking earlier at different actors. We talked about some of the presidents that were veterans, but a lot of older actors were, of course, World War II, so many people were in it. There were
Everyone.
Yeah, there was hardly any men.
All the men, because all the women had to step up to run the factories.
So the men of that time, most of them did serve in the war, and I know the one that always come to mind was the actor Lee Marvin, and he's buried at Arlington National Cemetery. Audie Murphy was another big actor. I was kind of looking through here to see some others that chose, and I thought it was cool the Lee Marvin tombstone. It just Lee Marvin, private, U.S. Army. Just no big fancy tombstone.
Yeah, just the same as everyone else.
Was just like everybody else's. Pappy Boynton, from Baa Baa Black Sheep fame. Gus Grissom, who the astronaut from Mitchell, Indiana, he is buried at Arlington as well.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Charlie Wilson,
really
the Texas congressman from Charlie Wilson's War, played by Tom Hanks. He's at Arlington. Claire Chenault, who was the leader of the Flying Tigers that flew in China before the war. So there's a lot of those people. Of course, that was obviously just like with Lee Marvin. That was a big part of his life, and he was probably very proud to have served, and he wanted to be sure that that he was buried at Arlington. So
yeah. Well, that's interesting for sure. I don't know if any other modern day actors who served in the military.
Yeah, like I said, from that era, I don't know.
I'm sure there's some. I'm sure of it. We'll probably get back with all of you on that on a later episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have some updates on that. So yeah. So do you have anything else you'd like to add to this before we end this segment?
No. Just as far as the veterans, Veterans Day part of this show. Just it doesn't cost a dime, but if you know or work with a veteran, just a quick thank you. Hey, thanks for serving. It doesn't cost you a dime.
Yeah, and also to all the people out there who are like, oh well, I guess you only say thank you on the day, and then you don't pay attention the other time. To those people, you can say that all you want, but at least there's something. There's some people out there who say much worse.
Yeah.
It's like at least there's a day. That's why there's a day for it. It's just like
Well, and just like we were talking before, just like with our newsletter, everybody leads pretty busy lives, and a lot of times we just don't think that there's people out there that are in some really nasty places, doing some things. So
yeah.
So yeah, it's nice that we do have a day that we can actually. Hey, we need to remember these people.
Yep, because it's definitely better than not having a day. So yeah, so we me and Dad thank all the veterans or anyone who might possibly be listening to this. We thank you for your service in the military or any of your family who has served in the military. We thank all of you and thank you for fighting for our freedom.
Definitely. So. This time, we're going to play a little bit of music, and then when we come back from our break, we will have a few news stories for you.
All right.
So now let's do some more local type news topics. Travis, do you have anything over there on your side that's anything to do with anything local?
Yeah, I think this is you know, I think this is more or less an awareness, you could say, more than news.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff going on right now in the Bloomington area.
Oh, you ain't kidding.
Yeah, and I think all of you need to be aware of this.
And not to bash on Bloomington, because even Indianapolis, Indianapolis has had one of the worst years, and we're kind of winding this year down. They've had more homicides this year than probably they have in the history of the town.
Yeah, and I think that it does travel. Crime does travel.
Yeah.
And I mean, because I honestly think the reason why Indianapolis has it's one of the worst years they've ever had was because
solar flares.
I was thinking more of Detroit being in bankruptcy and everyone moving out.
You're very right. No, I'm sure. I mean, they're jumping out of Detroit like rats off a ship,
and they're coming down to the nearest city they can find. That's Indianapolis.
Yep.
So
that's sad but true.
Yeah. So I think,
and I'm sure a lot of them are heading to Chicago. Same thing.
If they were or not there already.
Yeah. Chicago again, a lot of crime. Indianapolis, and
but I think this year Indianapolis was right on par with Chicago.
Oh yeah, I know. It was back I believe in August where they surpassed the 100th homicide mark. And they said, here we are, August. The year's not near done. So,
well, wasn't there that one town in Indiana a couple weeks ago where there was 4 murders a day for a week?
No,
you remember? You remember hearing that or something? Like there was literally like a murder, like four something. I can't remember. It was unreal.
No, I hadn't heard that,
but I mean, I don't know. It was not good.
But no, like I said, Bloomington, yeah, definitely. There's stuff going on around Bloomington.
And I think that I mean, all of you, Bloomington has always been pretty safe, for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, just historically, just college town, and not quite like not a huge town, not Indianapolis size, but it's always been pretty safe. And
I mean, a couple of years ago we had Lauren Spear went missing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but before that, I mean, yeah, you had I think like the Pizza X killer. You've had your runs with your bad eggs.
Well, I mean that's everywhere. I mean, you're gonna have homicides.
Yes.
We have them here in Greene County.
Yeah, but I think that right now we have something interesting going on in Bloomington, and we're just going to talk about a few cases that's going on that everyone needs to be aware of.
Just kind of random crime type stuff and things. Well, go ahead, Travis. Let you.
All right. Okay. So my first one was someone I went to high school with. He put on Facebook the other day that he was going to see the movie Interstellar at the AMC Showplace 12, which is the one by the McDonald's in Texas Roadhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, he said that he was sitting in there, and apparently he saw this one guy before he got in there, and he said this guy got up in the middle of the movie, and he had a backpack, and he had like a Nike gym bag with him, and he thought it was awfully weird that he was just kind of getting up in the middle of the movie. Say, I don't know if he was with. I think he was by himself, and he just kind of had he kind of had this thought like, oh, maybe I should follow him.
Yeah. Which I mean, I know some people do, but you don't normally go to the movies by yourself. Generally, don't you always say, hey, you want to go to the movies? I'm not saying.
I mean, there's some people like for instance, like if I was wanting to maybe like review movies for a podcast or something, maybe I'd go see them by myself.
Well,
maybe.
But generally speaking, though, you're not gonna.
I think it would be kind of fun to go see a movie by yourself every now and then. It's like oh, why not? It's kind of a fling thing. Like, oh, let's go. I'm gonna go see a movie. But if you do it religiously, like you just go by yourself.
Well, that just screams.
It'd be weird.
That screams lone wolf. I have no friends. I'm a loner weirdo. To me.
But yeah, rightly so. But
or at least possibility of that.
Yeah. So he saw this guy get up, and he said that there was something odd about him. So he got up and he followed him, and he said that he kind of I'm assuming he kept his distance, and he followed the guy out to his car, and he said he was near parked near his car.
He leaves the theater, goes out to the parking lot.
Yes.
This weird guy.
Yes.
Okay.
And also, to just in case all of you are wondering, he said that whenever when they were in line to get tickets for the movie, he saw the guy, and they checked his backpack, and they checked his bag.
Oh, they did?
Yes, they checked it.
Okay.
They checked his bag, and they checked his backpack, and he had nothing in it. Well, so he went back out to his car, and he said he got, the guy I know, he got in his car because he wasn't going to stand out there and just kind of look at him. He got in his car, and he was kind of watching him, and he said he could see the guy, rummaging around, find stuff, and he said that he thinks that he was putting stuff in his bag, so he called the cops. So he called the cops, and so the guy was getting up, and he was walking back into the movie theater, and he followed him, and he said he tried to avoid the ticket place, the ticket desk, entirely. He got up there, but apparently some of the staff noticed him, and they asked him to, what's in your bag, and the guy adamantly refused to let them search his bag.
You know what I bet was in the bag? Fruit gushers. A whole bag. And what kind of a twisted mind would bring fruit gushers to a movie?
And probably some German dude folded up in the bag.
Okay, I'm sorry. Inside joke.
We'll post the video on our Facebook page for all of you to watch.
Yeah, it's.
Anyway.
Okay. So they asked to see the bag.
Yeah,
and he refuses.
He adamantly refused, and I guess the guy just he got mad. He ran off and left. But of course, and I guess police show up now, and he didn't really say what happened after that.
Well, see, I was under the impression that they never searched the bag, which I feel better knowing that they initially did search it.
Yeah, initially they searched the bag and they found nothing in it. So he purposely thought he was going to do something.
Yeah, I mean,
whether it means whether he was going to hide drugs in maybe in the movie theater, or something. But I guess he thought in the middle of the movie he could just go out and go get whatever and put it in the bag, and then you never know. Maybe he was going to leave it under the desk or under a seat or something.
Yeah.
But. So that, to me, I just found that very odd. Who knows if the guy maybe had weapons or something in there? Who knows? I mean, at that point, it could have been anything in that bag. But I guess the guy was adamantly, he did not want his bag searched again.
Well, and props to your friend on Facebook that did follow him. Everyone, we all must be vigilant. Because don't think that. Of course, there's workplace violence, or there's nuts everywhere, and there's nuts in Indiana. The woman that got her head chopped off was in Oklahoma. You think it was weird stuff like that happening in New York City or Los Angeles or Las Vegas, but there's nuts everywhere, and everyone needs to be vigilant. And if you see something out of place, you need to say something. If you see something, say something.
Yeah. All right, now you had a story that someone you worked with told you.
Yeah, and I was actually recounting the story that you just told to a friend of mine at work, and they kind of looked at me like, "Wow, you know what happened to me at Bloomington?"
I think we said that it was possibly on the same night.
Yeah, I think it was during the weekend. I think it may have been that same night, but this person was at Menards, and of course, if you're familiar with the layout of Menards, there's one end of the store that you enter the building. And start shopping. But then when you exit,
then there's the other entrance of the building where it says exit, but everyone enters in that one anyway.
Yeah, but the other one is supposed to be just more of like an exit only, with your purchases.
But no one exits through there.
Well, so my friend was sitting there in the little breezeway type part, as you're entering the store, And this dude comes walking in, kind of gives her a smile and a look, and she was sitting there and kind of thought it was odd, didn't know if she knew this person or what. So she was continued to sit out there in the little breezeway, waiting on somebody or something. And then the dude comes back through, shoots her another look and a cheesy grin, and then all the bells and whistles start going off, and people start screaming, "Thief, thief, thief!" And the dude streaks out with this box of stuff, jumps into a waiting car outside of Menards. The car speeds off, about runs over several people, in the process. And, my friend is just still kind of sitting there like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just things like that. It's,
it's pretty brazen, he was...
I mean, they had a getaway and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I have another story.
Okay.
This is another coworker of mine. Which Robbie, if you're listening to the podcast, yeah, I'm talking about Jennifer. but so she was telling us that the other day she was at Kroger, the one out by that's out towards the Menards area.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she was at Kroger and she was in the parking lot. She had just got her groceries out. Some of the some teenagers helped her out because she's pregnant, and she's very she's showing quite a bit. I mean, it's like maybe they were just trying to help her out, whatever. But so they get her stuff to her car, in which she drives kind of like an SUV, and it's kind of the windows are tinted. But she says she noticed as she was pulling up, there was a van, and she said it was a very beat-looking van. The windows were, like 3 of the windows had like bags over them,
Ghetto van.
Yeah. And she says she sees these 3, I think she said like 3 kids get out, like teenagers get out of the van, and she said she knows there was an older woman who was driving. And she said they all they had holes in their
just
jeans,
dirty looking,
like homeless looking,
yeah.
And she said that they clearly saw her, and she got in the vehicle, and she says luckily she said she always has this thing where she always locks the door as soon as she gets in the vehicle.
Wow.
She always does, no matter what.
So they attempted to get in the vehicle with her inside it.
They come over to her door, try to open her vehicle while she's in it.
Wow.
And like I said, they might not have seen her because of her tinted windows, but she said they clearly saw her get in her vehicle. So they were looking right at her.
Well, they may have just been really stressed and nervous, and maybe they didn't really, maybe they were just trying to get out and be very efficient and just quickly go through and...
Well, I don't know if it was efficient or not after what happens next. But so then she, she's kind of freaked out, and she sees them go over to the next car, and they try to open up the next car.
Yeah, they're systematically going through the row.
Yeah, they're going through the rows, and they're trying to open up people's vehicles. And then she sees like a cart pusher over, and she said the cart. And she kind of rolled down her window a little bit, and the cart pusher's kind of looking her way, and she kind of signals him to come over. And he comes over, and she's like, see that van? See those kids? They're trying to open up people's vehicles. It's like someone needs to call the cops. And so I think that so they call the cops, but I think before that there was already a cop in the area.
Yeah. And
this one just happened to be doing their rounds and pulled up. But I think like a store associate saw them outside and confronted, because I guess the old woman got out. And I guess confronted the woman about, hey, what's going on? I guess the woman pulls out a pocket knife and kind of charges at the guy.
Gosh.
And I guess long story short, the cop sees everything going down and arrests them all, on the spot.
This was the Bloomington Kroger.
Yeah, this was the Bloomington Kroger. This happened this past week.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you have to be on guard at all times. I got another one for you.
Okay.
Good friend of mine, actually a loyal listener of the Dana and Travis show.
Okay.
You'll love this one.
Thank you for listening.
His car got broken into, just like like you were saying, and he come to me at work one morning.
This is great.
Very distressed, and he's like, "Dana, you never guess what happened." I'm like, "What happened? What happened?" They broke into my car over the weekend, and they said, "You know what they stole?" I said, "Don't tell me." They stole the Dana and Travis show. They're rifling through his car, trying to, whatever, cassettes, and then they see this pile of CDs. Little do they know it's the Dana and Travis show.
They need to listen. They need to break into his car again, steal this episode.
But they must have listened to some of them, because down the road there was like an old cemetery, and there was like the Dana and Travis show CDs all through the cemetery.
Oh, you didn't tell me that.
Oh yeah. They actually. So he did get some of them back, and it was funny because, and I made these up special for my good friend Carly, and one of the cases I had actually given him a little piece of Mount Everest, and actually a rupee from Nepal. And they didn't know, of course, and he actually did get the piece of Mount Everest and the rupee back. He said it was kind of torn and stuff.
Oh my!
Yeah, but they stole the Dana and Travis show. So wow.
And then that blows my mind. And they found him in a cemetery.
So I guess this happened like 2 weekends in a row, though. And I told Carly this, and I know they would probably arrest you for it. Bob got the cure for that, because he said he's in the Mitchell, Orleans area, and said there's been a rash of people breaking into cars and stuff. I said, what you need to do, get your old sweatshirt or something, and put in the back seat. I said, I've got a 220 Conibear. Just kind of lay that sweatshirt over it, and I'm talking, I don't know if people are familiar with a 220 Conibear is a steel trap used for catching small mammals.
Oh.
And it'll break your arm if you stick your hand in it. And, they go through, real quick.
Oh, my.
Grab that. I said, you can chain it to, like, where the seat bolts to the bottom of the car.
Oh,
then they'll be stuck. Like a muskrat.
Is that illegal?
I think you could probably get sued over that. But that would be so fitting.
Hey, that would be the best suit. That would be the best suit you ever got.
Oh, I used to raise chickens, and I always used to keep traps around, for
raccoons,
pests, that come in and would get my chickens and stuff, and setting them, especially if you had an old rusty one, had a little bit of use on it, because you had to break them down, and then you had to stand on them, and then you had to set the trigger,
yeah,
and you get that trigger set, and then you just kind of jump back. Okay, now it's ready, like I said, put that in the back seat, throw a sweatshirt over the top of it. Hello, there's my iPad.
See,
testing, 1, 2.
Yeah, it's a message for the people who stole Carly's CDs.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah. There was just a lot of, I don't know if it's a drug thing, people's trying to steal for drug money or what.
I don't know. I mean, I told them, I said, it sounds like with the Kroger story, it sounded like they were just methed out or something.
Yeah,
or,
that's pretty brazen.
Yeah.
Even the guy walking in Menards, and that's pretty brazen too.
She said this happened around 7 or 8 o'clock.
Wow.
I mean, which, of course, it's been dark, so who knows?
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, just the nerve, just to start opening people's. I know, like, a couple months ago, I went into Walmart, and I was in the back, towards the tire section and all that.
Yeah, automotive section.
Yeah, and there's another guy I work with, he works back there, and he was telling me, he's like, yeah, these people have been trying to come back, they've been trying to steal stuff, they're trying to walk back through the back area.
Oh, walk out through the back.
And apparently they've been caught, I think were caught like 4 times.
Wow.
Like in the same hour, they tried like 4 different times. They saw a getaway person get out, and he stopped them every time. They would try different doors every time. It's like, listen, you're not gonna win this. You're not gonna get through. They're aware of you now, so it's like surprised they didn't have any cops there trying to arrest them.
Yeah, because I know Walmart's big about prosecuting. You don't steal from Walmart.
No, you don't.
They take that serious.
Yeah. Oh, well, and also speaking of serious though, also this past week we also had a tragedy happen in in Bloomington. There was there's 2 men that were arrested for sexually assaulting 2 students on IU campus.
Oh.
And yeah, it was Bloomington police shot and wounded 2 rape suspects. Yeah, apparently they just went to some this apartments and stuff, and they raped 2 women.
Wow.
I mean, it's like, and they're from Indy,
Now,
so they might have probably have done some stuff up there and come down here. It's just a degradation of our society, a certain percentage of our society where they just think it's like, you know what, my life sucks so much, so I need to do as much damage to everyone else around me before I go out with a bang.
yeah, I mean,
no
people,
pun intended.
Yeah, people, just don't value life, and a lot of times, people, they want to be revenge, or like you said, they just don't care, and they think that their life is so terrible, and so there's all sorts of different circumstances. It's not all terrorism. It's just the combination of all of the above, I think. But whether it's a school, a shopping mall, or a business site or a workplace, it could happen anywhere. And actually, and even you're kind of talking about more the have in a employer type setting. But you should, even if you're at a movie theater or if you're at a shopping mall,
well,
you need to be aware.
Well, that's what this guy was saying too, because I mean, like he said something I really didn't kind of agree with, because he kept saying, "Oh, this is not going to happen here." Every school says that. It's like you never know where these things are going to happen. It could happen anywhere. Anyone could just have a psychotic, episode and just do things they wouldn't normally do.
Yeah.
But he was also saying too, but his point was like, it's not going to happen here. I am informing you of all this because you need to be aware out there.
Yeah.
He's like, you all need to hear this. He says this stuff does happen. He's like, outside of outside of these doors, anything can happen.
And and I know, and we get those types of talks a lot at work, and even it's not just at work. Traveling abroad, when I was in South Africa, you got to use a little bit of common sense.
Attention.
Yeah.
You want to recap that story real quick?
Yeah. Okay. So
this is a perfect example of something you need to do.
I'm at the really luxurious game preserve, and somehow I just kind of got to run around with this one German guy. We rode down together. This German guy, really cool. And then this man and wife who were like Porsche dealers. They were like selling Porsches all over Europe to sheiks and different things.
Nice.
They're really cool people. But the German guy was approached in Cape Town, and he always talked like a German, and he had a real thick German accent. And he said this one person approached him and was going to rob him. He said, first he asked him for money. Hey, you got some money? He's like, no, I do not have any money. And the guy's like, are you sure you don't have any money? Because if you don't give me some money, I'll just have to take it.
He's like, no, I'll have to steal.
Yeah, basically he's getting he's kind of alluding that, hey, listen, if you either give me some money or I'm going to hurt you. And this German guy, or I think the guy finally says, I'll show you how we do things in South Africa. Is what the robber tells the German. So the German guy freaks out and he says. And he's recounting the story to me and the Porsche dealers, and he's like, I didn't know what to do, so I just hollered, attention, attention, Achtung!
and the guy just ran off.
The guy ran off. Yeah. So if you're ever in trouble, just holler attention, attention, attention.
Well, that's something that this guy was saying. Because this guy. He told us like one time he was in Chicago. Him and his wife were walking down the street of Chicago, and he says you need to be aware. He said, for instance, he said this happened to me. True story. He said we were walking down the street, and he says I see this guy, and he starts making eye contact with me. And I automatically know. It's like I do not want to interact with this person. He's like, this person does not make me comfortable just by the way he looks.
Go with your gut. Use common sense.
He's like, by the way this guy looks, he's like, I do not like it. And he says, sure enough, and he says in his head, he already knew what he was going to say if the guy comes up to him. And sure enough, the guy comes up, he's like, hey man, would you like to give? And the guy goes, no, I will not give to you, and I don't want you approaching me. And he's pointing his finger at him, and in public, everyone's looking at him, and the guy's like, okay, he just kind of walks off.
Yeah, and that's a good idea. Yeah, bring attention, so like you said, so other people see,
it's just like he's like, what happens to a lot of people is a lot of people get robbed by their kindness.
Yeah.
He's like too many people. He's like you see these people alongside the road. He's like, especially here in Bloomington. He's like, you see these people. He's like, you need to be aware what you're opening yourself up to if you decide that you're going to be nice to this person. He's like, that is the only. He's like, I guarantee you.
That's vulnerability.
He's like, I guarantee you that people who are mean and who are stern with what they think are never the ones who get robbed. He's like, the people who open up their hearts and they're kind to these people, and they're the ones who get robbed, stabbed, murdered.
They're easily victimized because they're first seen as being weak.
Yeah, and that's what these people do. These people prey on your kindness. They prey on your weakness.
That's a good psychology. I never thought of that. But yeah, if you just start off being real aggressive right off the bat, you might because those other people, the robbers, they're really cowards. That's all they are.
Yeah, they're cowards, and they are not expecting some person like you just to boom. Yeah. There you are, and you're throwing it in their face, and you're not going to mess with me.
Attention.
just like the attention. Yeah, you people look at you.
It evidently worked. Yeah, I mean that's what he said. He said he wanted to bring bring attention to everybody that was around. But but when I was in Cape Town, I was very cautious. The people that were there kind of would be nice. Say, hey, listen, don't go down this area after dark, and or don't go down here alone, or and I just did. I didn't run around Cape Town after dark.
Cape Town.
And one night, the night before I got ready to leave for my safari, I don't think we talked about this on any other episodes, but this guy come in and with some people, they'd been out partying all night, and this other guy left, and then this other guy come running back through there, and it's like 4:00 in the morning. The bars are shutting down. I'm getting ready to drive out to the safari, and this guy runs up and says, this guy just walked past here. I'm like, yeah, he's just about 5 minutes ago he walked. He stole my phone. And then he starts going on, yeah, we've been partying all night, which is European guy had been partying with one of the locals.
And he was my friend.
Yeah, he wouldn't steal from me, he was my friend. Well, dude, you need to pick better friends, because you just got your phone jacked.
Yeah.
And this poor guy had, and I'm the same way, I had all my trip information on my iPad. If I lost that, I was a screwed pooch.
Yeah.
And this guy had all of his travel information on his iPhone, and now, it's gone. So just got to use common sense, and don't be a victim.
Yeah. So lesson learned, and it wouldn't have been good if he had some Dana and Travis show on his iPhone. if we ever possibly got that app.
They'd be tossing it in the cemetery with all the other trash.
Well, all right, everyone. Well, I hope you enjoyed the episode. It was a good episode. How'd you think?
It was. And again, all you veterans, thank you for your service.
All right, everyone. Well, you can find us on Facebook, and you can find us on Twitter, and you can email us at the Dan and Travis Show at gmail.com.
That is correct.
That is correct. So, all right, you want to take us out of here?
I sure will. Everybody, until next time, you be careful now.